Origins of werewolf mythology are difficult to pinpoint, with no real, precise record of where and when these legends first began to appear. However, there are several legends that may have given rise to the origin of this nocturnal creature that we know and love today. Two origin stories that will be discussed today are the Greek and Norwegian stories. The story of King Lycaon and Zeus is believed to be the first recorded history of werewolves, followed by the Scandinavian saga of the Werewolves. Both are incredibly interesting stories, though far removed from modern perceptions of werewolves, and are quite similar. Without further ado, here are the two stories under consideration. Once upon a time, the city of Arcadia was a rich and magnificent utopia, blessed by the gods and flourishing. However, human selfishness caused the gods to turn away from the city, taking their blessings with them and leaving the once prosperous city lost. Lycaon, one of the first kings of Arcadia, was determined to restore the former glory of Arcadia and regain the blessings of the gods. Thus, the king built a great temple to the king of the gods, Zeus. The temple was so magnificent and richly decorated that Zeus began to favor the new king of Arcadia. And satisfied with the meager blessings, King Lycaon performed several more feats to gain the favor and blessings of the gods. However, he lost control and became a fanatic, sacrificing people to the gods in exchange for their blessings. This practice was condemned by the gods for a long time and was considered an insult to hospitality, which was one of Zeus's requirements. Thus, the king of the gods descended to Arcadia in disguise to personally verify the truth of these stories. He was taken to the palace, where he was supposed to be received by the king and then sacrificed. However, Zeus remained calm, watching the king and his many sons. One of the king's sons became suspicious of the stranger and expressed his suspicions to his father, claiming that he might be Zeus himself, testing their hospitality. The king decided to test this theory, inventing a wicked and ominous test. When the dish was brought out, Zeus was horrified to discover that the meat was human. Hands and feet were prepared and covered in intricately crafted, painful food. As the king and his sons ate the meat, they mocked the stranger, asking if he should refuse their hospitality. Outraged by the disrespect and violation of his sacred rules, Zeus appeared and cursed Lycaon and his sons. He turned them into half-human, half-animal creatures, known today as werewolves. These creatures were cursed to feed on human flesh and roam at night, for if they were to behave like beasts, they would be cursed to forever walk as one. The Volung clan was well known as mighty warriors, with Volung himself being one of these mighty warriors. He had 10 sons and one beautiful daughter named Siggeir, whose mind and beauty were spoken everywhere. But rumors of Siggeir reached the ears of the evil king known as Siggeir, who traveled the land to meet Volung and marry her. After much deliberation between her father and brothers, it was decided that she should marry King Siggeir, on the condition that they could visit her. But that evening, a tall, gray stranger with one eye entered the hall with a massive sword, unlike any seen before. The stranger impaled the blade into an ancient tree at the center of the Volung's long house and proclaimed that whoever could pull the sword from the tree could keep it. The blade was so magnificent that everyone wanted it, including the evil King Siggeir. At first, he attempted to pull the sword from the tree, but he failed. Each of Valong's sons tried to pull the sword from the tree, but all failed. Each one met with failure, until the youngest brother, Siggeir, managed to free the blade. The angry king offered to pay Siggeir's weight in silver for the beautiful sword, but he refused, stating that if the sword were meant for him, he would have pulled it from the tree himself. Humiliated and enraged, King Siggeir left the Valong's home with unwilling Siggeir in tow, planning revenge against the Valong family. Siggeir tried to warn her brother, but she was too late. King Siggeir captured all of Valong's brothers and killed her father. She begged her new husband to slowly kill her brothers. Take them to the forest so the wolves can feast on them, she pleaded. King Siggeir did just that. The brothers were tied to trees and taken to where terrible wolves roamed. Every night, a great she-wolf would take a brother and devour him until only Siggeir remained. Siggeir begged her servants to give her honey so she could smear it on her brother's face to attract the wolves. They gave her honey, and she smeared it on Siggeir's face. That night, the she-wolf returned and licked the honey off of him. Seeing his chance, Siggeir bit the wolf's tongue, eventually ripping it out of the beast, and the she-wolf bled out. The wolf's attraction also freed Siggeir's bonds. He then dug a pit under the tree and made it his home for many years. By the time Siggeir had many children from the evil King Siggeir, she dreamed of revenge every day. So, when her eldest child turned 10, she sent him to her brother under the pretense of a Christmas visit. When he tested the child, he gave him a package of flour with something moving inside. The boy was frightened and, at Siggeir's request, killed her son. Every time one of her sons reached adulthood, she sent them to her brother, and each one failed and perished. Siggeir became upset and went to a witch who disguised her to look like someone else. She went to her brother and spent 3 nights of passion with him. Later, she gave birth to a son from her brother Sigmund, whom she named Sinfiotli. When he reached adulthood, she sent him to Sigmund for testing. Sinfiotli mixed a bag of flour into porridge and handed it to Sigmund. He laughed because there was a poisonous snake in the bag. But now he knows that the boy is strong enough to avenge the Valong family. He takes Sinfiotli, and they become bandits together. One day they come across 2 sleeping men next to beautiful wolf skins. These men were once king's sons, cursed to turn into wolves when wearing the skins. But Sigmund and Sinfiotli do not know this and take the skins. Unknowingly, they cannot remove them until 10 days have passed. They turn into wolves and start killing animals and people. Sigmund almost kills Sinfiotli over a deer. He tears the boy's trachea. But Sinfiotli saves a one-eyed raven who restores the boy. When Sigmund and Sinfiotli remove the skins, they burn them and continue to raid until Sinfiotli becomes a grown man. They return to the house of King Siggeir and set it on fire, killing him and all his children. Siggeir confesses to the betrayal. It is finally revealed that Sinfiotli is Sigmund's son, and that she visited the witch to change her form. She feels overwhelming remorse and guilt. She throws herself into the fire and dies. Stories and legends surrounding werewolves are a fascinating topic to study. Firstly, there are many more mythologies that speak of the origin of werewolves. The stories are as interesting and captivating as the two I have told today. The story of Lycaon was one of the first to feature werewolves as we know them, presumably. But it cannot be said with certainty that they were the first. The story of werewolves has always been around us as long as humans have existed.